Alrighty, well, good morning. Um, that's Rocky piled up there behind me on his pillow in the window. You can see him there, he's having a sleep. He's had his treats already, all curled up there, and he's had his eardrops in too. He doesn't like having his eardrops put in, but I've done that too. I've got my Trappist monk hood on here. I've decided to join a religious order. Well, not really, but it kind of looks that way with the hood on. It's actually quite a bit cooler today, but it's still not unbearably cold. And the old big body heater over there is doing the job nicely. And the hot water bottle's in the bed too, so it's reasonably comfortable in here right now. Um, yeah. Well, I guess what I'm going to talk about now is what happened in my hometown and what I think has happened in a lot of small towns since the world began to change in the early 1990s. Um, Basically, in Canada, at least in the early 90s, our government, and it was a conservative government, everybody piles up on the Liberals, and Liberals deserve a lot of criticism because they've done a lot of really awful things, especially the government we have right now. But it isn't just the Liberals, the Conservatives are in on it too. It's a worldwide kind of a thing, and the World Economic Forum is involved in it, and so on. And so it isn't just one political party. It isn't just Democrats or Republicans or Liberals or Conservatives or, in England, I guess they would say Labour or Conservative or whatever. It isn't that. Um, they're all in on it, pretty much. With a few exceptions, they're all in on it, you know. And the left-right paradigm is just a distraction and a division, a divide and conquer kind of a thing. It's a weapon used against us to get us to go against each other, so that we will basically be fighting with each other instead of fighting them. It's a very good strategy. These people aren't stupid. The people doing this aren't stupid. Anyway, when I was a kid growing up in the 1970s, and when I was a teenager and a young man in the 1980s, and so on, my hometown of Perth, Ontario, Canada, was primarily a manufacturing town. We had a shoe factory. That's where my dad worked. He was a tool and die maker and an industrial mechanic there. My grandpa, my dad's dad, was the head electrical engineer for the Brown Shoe Company of Canada Limited. So he was in charge of all of that for every one of their factories in Canada, which they had a few. In Ontario, they had a few. They had one at Alexandria, Ontario, and they had another one at Sterling, Ontario, and then they had the factory in Perth, and they had warehouse facilities and so on. He was in charge of all that. Um, and in Perth, we had that. We had a company called C&D Battery, which made various types of batteries, car batteries and emergency lighting type system batteries, and all kinds of batteries like that. Um, we had a company called Aeroquip, which made hydraulic hoses. We had a company called International Scissor, which made scissors, you know. We had a company that made synthetic wool. We had a company that made soap. We had a company that made wire. I actually worked